You know what? I don't like open dials. So, to my surprise, my heart opened up for the new Zenith Chronomaster Open. How the hell did that happen? Open work dials. I don't really care for them. You know why? It's not that I don't like looking at a beautiful mechanical movement, but there is a time and a place for everything. And if I want to admire the fine mechanics of a watch, I prefer turning it over, sitting down, taking some time and admiring it. Looking at it when I want to find out what time it is, nah, not so much. Let me take you back to 2003 when Zenith first launched a chronograph with an open dial that showed off the famous El Primero movement. The El Primero is of course the 5 Hz famous movement that is now 53 years old because it debuted in 1969. It's an integrated automatic movement and it's arguably the very first of its kind. So in 2003, the former illustrious CEO of Zenith, Thierry Nataf, came up with the idea of showing off that movement to the world by opening the dial. But in all fairness, it wasn't a very original idea because Frédéric Constant debuted the Open Heart. And that had a very specific reason, and that is because the watch was quite affordable, they wanted to promote mechanical watchmaking to a new target audience. So the fact that Frédéric Constant did that in a very affordable watch led to the belief, maybe my beliefs only, that showing off a mechanical movement through the dial is for newbies. What I have in my head is that you want a watch with an open dial that shows the mechanical movement because you constantly need the reassurance that you're not wearing a quartz watch. And the bad thing is, you're looking at a 9,000 euro plus watch here, is that for that money, of course, you know it's a mechanical watch. So these are my cons of the open dial concept, but let me get to the pros now. I was at Watches and Wonders and of course I was smitten by the Chronomaster Sport with its tricolore bezel. But they also showed me this watch and somehow something started to change in my brain. I actually never paid that much attention to the open versions of the El Primero chronographs because before this new version there was only a 42mm execution and that one just didn't have the right proportions. It was all too wide, too open. But now you're looking at a 39.5 in diameter watch with a height of 13.6mm. And somehow the proportions are just right. Have a look at the dial because that's what you're gonna look at for, I think, 99% of the time anyway. So it has the characteristic tricolore subdials, but there's of course one subdial missing. But is it? In the case of the new version, the subdial isn't missing. It's just transparent because the subdial at 9 o'clock that shows the running seconds has a Hesselite cover. And that gives it just a little different, more shimmering look. So it's not open, it's not straight through, it just has this little extra filter. And the little details make all the differences in watches like this, as you know. And the good thing is, it also shows some really nice mechanical tricks. First of all, there is the 5 Hz heartbeat of the watch. So you can see the balance wheel swinging like crazy. And another neat touch is the purple escapement wheel you see running. It's just a very nice, subtle watch spectacle. So for those interested in the movement, and in this case you should be interested in the movement, this is the caliber 3604, one of the latest El Primero calibers. That's why there is a silicon escapement wheel, of course, and it's just so much fun to operate. When you start the chronograph, the central second hand will go around the dial once in 10 seconds. Some nice aesthetical touches, in my humble opinion, are the old school pushers, pump pushers, and the absence of a date. Many people don't like dates on chronographs. Well, here you have it, no date on a chronograph. So there are 3 versions of this new Chronomaster Open. There's a gold one on a leather strap. There's 2 steel ones, one with this white dial, and there's a black dial version. And you can have it on a bracelet or leather strap. I prefer the bracelet in this case, because of the proportions mainly, I think. It just makes it more prominent without being too big. And yes, I have to say that the quality of the bracelet is maybe not Rolex level, but it sure is solid. Some people might complain that there is a little bit of space between the middle links, but Zenith did that on purpose, of course. Maybe it gives off a bit of a vintage Rolex look and feel, but I don't mind. And I should also mention the price of the version on steel, and that is 9,900 Swiss francs. You can find out what that translates to in your local currency. I did a video on the steel Chronomaster Sport with its fantastic ceramic tricolore bezel. Would I pick this watch over that watch? Let me answer that by telling you something about the Chronomaster lineup. The Chronomaster Sport measures 41 millimeters. And to be honest, although I like this open dial version, I still prefer a closed dial. So when you flip through the Zenith catalog, you will find the Chronomaster Original. Very nice watch. And it measures 38 millimeters, so that's a very traditional size. But the thing is, once you put on 39.5 millimeters, for me, that hits the sweet spot. So, what do I do? The Chronomaster Original I like best is the one with the blue, dark gray and light gray subdial. But they don't have that on a bracelet, but they do have 2 other versions. So in the end, something happens that I'm quite sure a lot of you watch fanatics are very familiar with. You like the detailing on watch A, you prefer the detailing on watch B, but you would rather have the size of watch C, but in the end, you're just left in between. It is a horrible feeling, yes. But on the other hand, it's also what makes watch collecting or looking at watches so much fun. It is the search for the right detail, the right color, the right material, the right proportions. And sometimes you get it exactly right, and sometimes you just don't. So, in the end, I am just stuck between 3 fantastic Zenith Chronomaster watches. But that doesn't mean that this one is fully off my list, because while wearing it, it kind of grew on me. Yes, it doesn't have to remind me every time that it's a mechanical watch, I know that. But you can also kind of look past that and focus a little bit more to the right side of the dial, and it wears like a charm. So, would it be a deal breaker for you, this opening in the dial, or would you, just like me, be willing to open your heart and love this new Zenith? I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, like, subscribe, and come back soon, because there's more to come.